Hello and welcome to You Skip That. I'm Dan Clark.
And I'm Alex Chris.
And this is the podcast where we, as friends, introduce each other to movies that we haven't seen before. And this week is my week, and I swear I thought this movie took place during Christmas. I picked this movie because I thought it was what I call a not Christmas movie.
Right.
Stuff like, in my opinion, Die Hard movies
Right.
where they take place during Christmas, but they're not Christmassy.
Yeah.
You know? Not everything that takes place at Christmas is a Christmas movie.
Fair enough.
And stuff like that. A movie that the director of this actually has a connection to. Today we are doing a movie that not enough people have seen. Going all the way back to 2016, starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling and a bunch of other people. Keith David's in there.
Yeah. Matt Bomer.
Yep. We're talking about the 2016 buddy cop movie, The Nice Guys.
Yes. Although neither of them are cops.
True.
But it does have kind of that buddy cop vibe.
And one could argue that, neither of them are nice either.
No.
But it's a period piece. It takes place during the 70s, I believe 77.
And boy, howdy does it do a good job of setting that stage right out of the gate.
Yeah, it feels the whole way through.
Yes.
Like it takes place in the 70s.
Yeah, like right at the beginning, they lay down that funky bass line.
They use the Warner Brothers logo
Yep.
from the 70s. The actual title is presented in like the kind of stripy lettering,
Yep.
curvy lettering. It's 70s all the way down, but just about a couple of a private eye and kind of a bruiser who get tangled up in a plot just looking for a girl, looking for Amelia so that they can kind of get a lead on a missing persons case, and they end up getting tangled up in this whole chain of events.
Yeah.
It's a movie that, like I said, not enough people saw. I feel like this is another one where I'm one of like 8 people that saw it in the theater. Certainly didn't do well enough given the quality of the movie as far as I'm concerned. I love this movie, but what did you think?
I loved it.
I could tell.
Yeah, it was hilarious when it needed to be funny. It was tense when it needed to be action-packed and thrilling. But occasionally would just take a break from being tense to do something hilariously stupid.
Especially when it was Ryan Gosling.
Oh my gosh, Ryan Gosling is so funny in this movie.
I don't follow the career of Ryan Gosling, but I feel like this was where we were starting to kind of realize this guy's super funny. He's not just the Notebook guy. He's not just kind of the heartthrob.
The serious brooding guy or the heartthrob guy. This guy has legit comedic chops.
Well over half the laughs in this movie are from him.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. Russell Crowe has a couple good ones. There are a couple other lines that land, but for the most part, it's Ryan Gosling all the way down.
Including the 2 times Ryan Gosling falls from very impressive heights.
Improbable heights.
Yeah. And survives, coming to the conclusion that he must be invincible.
Uh-huh.
And Russell Crowe's like, no, stop.
I broke your arm earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
We know that you can be injured. Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, yes.
Any other initial thoughts you'd like to get out there?
So we've talked about movies that kind of live in whatever vibe they're having, for good or for bad.
Right.
This one very well sits in. Man, what was going on in the 70s is just the whole thing of this movie. It's like, the 70s were wild, man.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
People say and do ridiculous things in this movie, and it all just lands.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, this is one that I remember walking out of the movie theater thinking, this thing's going to do gangbusters. This is going to be amazing, and it wasn't. $50 million budget. And box office of $62.8 million.
Jeez.
So keep in mind, $50 million.
Right. That's just filming and
just filming. That does not include advertising at all. This movie lost money, which is a shame because I know Shane Black's first movie, which we almost did tonight.
Yeah.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang also didn't do well. His movie that he did between those only did well because it was Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So you put Marvel on anything pre-Endgame, it's going to make money. Yeah, the premise of it is pretty much what I laid out. Just to kind of get it all out there, it does involve the 1970s adult film industry significantly. If you're looking to us for recommendations of movies, I think we'd both recommend it.
Right.
Assuming you're fine with some pretty intense violence. Mm-hmm. Not the most intense I've ever seen, but it doesn't shy away.
No.
Some fairly intense language.
Very.
Nudity and pretty extensive discussion.
Discussion of,
of the adult film industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole plot to, it revolves around the catalytic converter case
Yeah.
It's a weird place to go when you're making a quote-unquote buddy cop movie, and how a group of protesters enlisted the adult film industry to get the message out.
That apparently the big car companies had paid off people in the government to basically let them get away with not putting catalytic converters on cars like they were supposed to.
Right, and this film was going to blow it all wide open, which led one of the million great lines in the movie. You made an adult film where the point is the plot.
That got a good laugh out of me.
Yeah, everyone in this just brings it. And unfortunately, one of my favorite parts of each episode talking about alternate casting, there is none for this.
Yeah.
Everyone was like the first choice.
That's awesome.
And I guess Shane Black had been working on this for a while and it just hadn't gone anywhere. And then Russell Crowe saw the script and went, yeah, I'd love to do that. And Ryan Gosling went, I'd love to work with Russell Crowe. And then everything kind of fell in place. He said it went from this idea that I hoped would happen to being almost fully cast in like 3 weeks.
Wild.
Which does not usually happen in the industry.
No.
And it's weird to say that that happened in a movie that wouldn't be called a success in any business sense.
Right.
Someone else in the cast who is a repeat, Kim Basinger.
Oh, yeah. True.
Yep. She played not much. She was Judith Kuttner in this. Mm-hmm. She was also in Batman.
Yep.
A much younger version of her. She's in like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
But pivotal. She's an important part of the plot.
She's an important character.
A couple interesting cameos that were in this movie. When Ryan Gosling's character, Holland March, is having his dream with the self-driving car and then the bug is in the background.
The bee, yeah.
Yeah.
The killer bee.
Yeah, that was Hannibal Buress.
I thought that voice sounded familiar.
Yeah, he's just having a dream and all of a sudden there's this giant fly in the back seat that's talking about, nah, man, with all the smog in the air, we all...
No, so it's important. That's a bee. There's kind of a whole background plot where Ryan Gosling is terrified of Brazilian killer bees, which he read about in one newspaper article and now is fully convinced is a real thing.
Yep.
That he has to be worried about in Los Angeles.
But yeah, it's this Brazilian killer bee in the backseat, smoking a cigarette and voiced by Hannibal Buress.
That's pretty funny.
The other big one, and I will be shocked if you can tell me who this was, when they find the dead body of Sid Shattuck by the tree, well, when Ryan Gosling finds it.
Yes.
Again, one of the funniest parts of the movie.
Hilarious. Can't breathe.
Yep.
Just keeps like making wheezing noises and pointing.
Do you know who played Sid Shattuck in that one scene where he was a dead body?
I'm just gonna take a wild stab in the dark. Alan Tudyk.
That was Robert Downey Jr.
That was Robert Downey Jr.? No kidding. That's hilarious.
Yep, uncredited. Because, backstory on that, Robert Downey Jr., I'm sure you're aware, had a rough period.
Right.
Lots of issues with drugs, ended up in prison. When he got out, no one wanted to hire him. And then Shane Black was making a movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and went, you know what? He read well for it. Let's take a chance. He even took a cut back on the budget of the movie to pay for the insurance for him and everything. And it turned out to be a success and was kind of the slingshot for him to get to be where he is now. He wouldn't have gotten hired for Iron Man if not for that.
Wow.
And so to say thank you, Robert Downey Jr. went, hey, do we have a director for Iron Man 3? I know a guy. And got Shane Black hired on. And so Shane Black, kind of continuing the leapfrog that they were doing, went, hey, you want to play a dead body in my next movie? You're like, sure, I'm not doing anything that weekend. Why not? Yeah. And it really is just, you never see him alive.
No.
You hear him referenced a few times, but at no point does he speak. At no point do you see him doing anything. He's just a dead body sitting next to a tree.
That's hilarious.
And you don't even get a good look at his face on account of part of it's missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, really buys into the 70s setting. It takes place in Los Angeles in the 70s, which I'm noticing Los Angeles is kind of a running thing with Shane Black movies.
Yeah.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang takes place in Los Angeles.
Significant part of Iron Man 3 takes place.
Does. And he does a good job. You can tell it's a city that he loves because it feels like a character. Like this movie couldn't take place anywhere else.
Right.
At any point, you look at any part of this movie and it feels like Los Angeles.
Oh, totally.
Specifically
in the 70s. Yeah. Not that either of us were there.
No, but
if you look at pictures, other stuff from the time, it's very authentic.
It also does a good job of kind of mimicking the filmmaking of that. It has that kind of color quality to it. It's not like the grainy kind of filmmaking that you see in that, but like the coloring really.
Even some of the framing choices, even a few of the like funny bits even seem like something out of a 70s movie.
So at any point, did you really get a feel for what was going on? Did you have the mystery kind of sussed out before?
About the time Kim Basinger showed up, as soon as she showed up and said what her daughter thought was going on, I'm like, well, you just told me the whole plot.
Right.
Just because, and I think this was maybe even a little bit intentional. She does it in such a suspect way.
Right.
Oh, my daughter's crazy. She thinks I'm an evil, maniacal supervillain doing supervillainy things. I can't tell you who is doing the supervillainy things, but it's somebody, and that somebody is not me.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah, and I think it was perfect. Like,
Right.
It was there for the audience to go, oh, come on, guys.
It is at kind of the point in the movie where you're supposed to get something...
A big reveal, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's fairly late, and it's like more than 2/3 into the movie.
Right. Yeah, Kim Basinger, I think, got poster credit. She doesn't show up until over an hour into the movie. Not poster credit, but I remember her being in the advertising.
Yeah.
Featuring Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
It does take quite a while to get to a lot of the kind of villainy stuff.
Yeah.
For a lot of it, it's just, we're looking for Amelia.
Yeah. Just two guys looking for a girl.
One of the big bad guys, John Boy, doesn't show up until like an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
And again, is in 3 scenes.
Yeah.
And one of them is the big final fight, so it's an extended scene.
Right.
But Kim Basinger doesn't show up until like an hour in. John Boy, an hour and a half. For a lot of it, it's just doing detective work.
Yep.
The villain of the movie up to that point is the pursuit.
Yeah.
Kind of a man against nature kind of thing. It's
the idea of this girl is missing, where could she be?
we got to find her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people are looking for her.
But that's not to say that it feels aimless or like the villains come out of left field. It's a very well-written movie.
Very.
Where...
You get hints at what's going on early on, and then those become more important later.
I mean, Shane Black just writes this and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I haven't seen in a while. But they're written so tightly. They're so rock solid. There's not a whole lot of wasted time, which is really impressive in this case because it is such a funny movie. And generally, when you try putting comedy into something like that, it feels like you're bloating it or you're taking too much away from the fairly heavy subject matter. Everything, like all the laughs, seem to inform the characters. They seem to do something to move the plot forward. Like one of the funniest things... It sounds weird. It sounds weird. We've already kind of covered this. One of the funniest things to me is when Ryan Gosling finds the body.
Yes, totally.
But it kind of shows how the character reacts to things like this. It shows how Russell Crowe's character, Mr. Healy, deals with stuff like that. And then it gets a big laugh at the end when they dump the body over the wall. I won't ruin it. And then they just say one word and then they move on.
Yes.
And then it gets right into an action scene.
Yep.
I think I read when I was doing research, I don't have it right here. I think Shane Black has said that people tend to lose interest after 28 minutes. And so about every half hour, he tries to have something happen.
Makes sense.
Something actiony happen. So that you can kind of go, okay, cool. Like there's nothing deep here. Those are the good guys. Those are the bad guys. They're trying to kill each other.
Cool.
And then you kind of get a chance to recalibrate and be ready for some exposition. I also like that they don't go into it. Ryan Gosling's character is widowed.
Yes.
There was also a house fire that may or may not have had anything to do with that. They just never talk about that.
Nope.
And he has not taken the whole process well.
No, not at all.
He's an alcoholic. He is a grifter.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
At one point, he's asked what the next step is on the case. He says, well, we sit tight for about 48 hours and then we call her back and ask for more money. And she'll think that we've got a lead in the case. And then we start working. To the point where his own daughter goes, you're the worst detective ever.
Yep.
And I hate you.
Yeah.
But they do a good job of not having him feel useless. It's not like, oh, here is the movie about how Russell Crowe solves a mystery and here's his funny sidekick. He serves a purpose. He turns out to be a good detective. He just needs money too.
Yeah. I'd say the funny thing that I noticed throughout this whole movie was Russell Crowe's character, who was supposed to be this kind of big dumb bruiser, was kind of the more intellectual one who had the thoughtful observations. And then Ryan Gosling's character, Mr. March, just kind of kept stumbling into things and just happening to find stuff. He was incredibly lucky and incredibly perceptive, where Russell Crowe's walking around going, huh, if this happened, then this must be going on.
Right.
And then the best detective of them all is the little girl.
Yeah. But Ryan Gosling did have the observation of, that's not a flight number, okay? That's an apartment.
Yeah.
And he's almost right, and then looks like he's wrong, and then it turns out he was right all along.
Yep.
Just had the wrong apartment. They say, well, we have this note, and this is clearly a flight number. And he goes, that's not a flight number. Flights don't go that late. There's no flyover laws or something like that. And points out, that's actually an apartment. This is where it is. I know exactly where it is. Turns out the apartment was torn down 2 years before, but he knew that.
Right.
Like he had enough wisdom knocking around,
yeah.
Floating through the booze in there, that he was able to throw it out there and actually serve a purpose.
Right.
He doesn't feel like a useless tag along, which a comedy relief can feel like.
Oh, very
so
easily. Yeah.
And it certainly doesn't hurt that he and Russell Crowe have incredible chemistry.
Totally. They have great chemistry. It is hilarious, even when they are hating each other. You can't help but love watching these two guys bicker and argue.
Well, just the scene where it starts off with them at odds. Ryan Gosling's looking for Amelia. Russell Crowe's actually been hired by Amelia to get Ryan Gosling off her back. Mm-hmm. And there's a scene where Russell Crowe kicks in the door and beats the crap out of Ryan Gosling, breaks his arm. They have chemistry during that.
Yep.
They play off each other so well during that. It's a scene where a guy beats the tar out of a guy and then breaks his arm.
Yep.
And then leaves and has a pleasant conversation with the guy's daughter.
And drinks a yoo-hoo.
I love Yoo-hoo. It sounds like a dark scene. It could so easily be a disturbing scene. I mean, he beats the crap out of this guy in his own house.
Yep.
That's something that can be like a violation. Like,
right.
This is supposed to be the safe place.
Right. This is where you're not supposed to get the crap beaten out of you.
Right. But it's done in such a way, it's written in such a way, it's filmed in such a way, and it's acted in such a way that it's a hilarious scene. Yeah, one of the great shames of this is they were so good together, and this is such a well-done movie, and everyone involved, from director to Russell Crowe to, I believe, Ryan Gosling, wanted to make a sequel.
I mean, it was definitely ready built for a sequel.
And it lost money, and so we never get to. It's kind of like what you're talking about in Bullet Train.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see Ladybug pop up in other movies, see further adventures there, and we won't.
Nope. Tragically. Yeah, and I think Bullet Train did better than this did.
Probably.
Of course, it cost a lot more.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
A couple other scenes I just absolutely loved. There it is. Tank. And we'll get into some like broad thoughts too, but the moment I knew I was going to love this movie is when Ryan Gosling punches out the window. He wraps his hand in some cloth, and the first time he takes a kind of a practice swing at it, the cloth kind of comes undone. So he tightens it up and prepares and gets his hand all perfectly wrapped up, punches through the glass, and then like manages to catch his wrist and begins bleeding profusely, looks down and goes, "Oh man, that's a lot of blood."
Smash cut to him
in an ambulance. Yeah.
With the nurse going, "You have to stay with me. You have to."
Yeah.
Like he was just trying to break into a bar. That's what
to
it
look
was.
through credit card receipts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he ends up in the hospital.
Yeah. Hilarious. And it just kind of shows you the kind of luck this guy has.
Yeah. And it does build up that, what his own daughter says to him, "You're the worst detective ever."
Yeah.
I haven't, but I'm pretty sure I would be better at breaking into a bar than that. I think I could do it without an ambulance getting involved.
Right, yeah.
If there was someone in there, the ambulance would probably end up getting involved. I'd be hauled off, but I think I could punch a window out without...
Right, or find another way to break a window that doesn't put your body on the line.
Yeah, specifically your wrists.
Which are pretty fragile.
Yep.
You know, it's just another great film noir kind of movie. Had that kind of lots of people suck, nobody really wins.
Yeah. Which they really drive home at the end. No one won here. Like, I mean, the corporations kind of won.
Yeah.
But the bad guy went to jail.
Yeah.
We're not getting anything out of this.
Yeah. It's a fun mystery. It's fun watching these two bozos figure it out.
Yeah, that's, again, the frustrating thing about how poorly it did is I don't know a lot of people who saw this, but everyone I know who's seen this loved it, including the people that I've recommended it to. Like, wow, I wish I'd gone and seen this in the theater. Yeah, me too.
I barely knew this movie existed. It was not even on my radar when it came out.
I can't remember how I became aware of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I became aware of it like months after it came out. And then just never got around to watching it.
Yeah.
Hence why we're here.
That's how you skip that.
Yeah. That is the story of the Skip.
And now you haven't, and that's a good thing.
Yes, it's a very good thing. This is a very good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get around to, I was debating, because I became aware earlier this week that this is not a Christmas movie, or this is not a movie that takes place at Christmas, and I really wanted to do a not Christmas movie.
Right.
Like, oh man, I was thinking of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Iron Man 3 also takes place around Christmas.
Weird.
He also wrote Lethal Weapon, which
also takes place around Christmas.
So I guess I just kind of extended it to this.
And the last scene of this does take place at Christmas.
Yeah. And so I thought about swapping it out for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Almost did. Really glad that I didn't, because I would have enjoyed watching Kiss Kiss Bang Bang as well. It's a really weird movie to repeat the name of as much as I have here.
Right.
The words start losing meaning.
That's semantic satiation.
Uh-huh.
I learned that phrase from Ted Lasso this week.
There you go. Yeah. Saying it that often makes me feel like a weird random bit of trivia that I'm sure you already know, but maybe the listeners don't. Macaulay Culkin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what Macaulay Culkin's middle name is?
Macaulay Culkin.
It's Macaulay Culkin. So his name is Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
So saying Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So
Macaulay.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin. Wow, his name has lost meaning. It's just a sound, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And I only had to say it twice.
Yeah, I'm glad we watched this again. This is a movie that I've seen 4 or 5 times now. Never gets old.
Mm-hmm.
The jokes still land. It's just kind of an evergreen movie.
We haven't even talked about one of the funniest parts of this movie that I don't think I have ever laughed as loud as I did.
I remember you laughing pretty hard at one point. I can't remember what it was.
It was when Russell Crowe finds him in the toilet at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling keeps trying to be threatening while sitting on the toilet with his pants around his ankles. He's waving a gun around.
Has a magazine over his...
Has a magazine sitting in his lap.
Yeah.
And the door keeps swinging back shut, and so he keeps angrily kicking it back open and just, having all these argumentative conversations with Russell Crowe. And he's like, turn around, quit looking at me. And Russell Crowe turns around, looks into the mirror and goes, there's a mirror here, right, genius?
Close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
You know what? Turn around. Can I open my eyes? Yeah, open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
At one point, he drops his cigarette into his pants. And
yeah, it's just so funny.
And it's so natural. It almost a lot of that almost had to have been discovered on the day.
Yeah.
Just, oh, look, this door won't stay open. And Ryan Gosling just went with it.
Yeah.
That's funny. The daughter, Holly, right after that, discussing with Russell Crowe how much he would... Oh, wait, you beat people up for money? How much would you charge to... I don't know. Is she a big girl? I don't know. She's tall. She's so annoying, though.
It's I don't know, $30.
This conversation's
over. This conversation's over. We're just talking, man. We're just talking.
I like the fight between Russell Crowe and Keith David. Mm-hmm. At the party where they're just going for guns are involved and the gun gets knocked out of it, a switchblade gets involved. They're going for broke.
Oh yeah.
And Russell Crowe finally gets the upper hand. The guy at Keith David just goes, hey, look, man, you'll never see me again. And he goes, yeah, where are you going to go? Michigan. Yeah, Michigan works. And he just lets him go.
Also just realized that was a weird clue to the overarching plot that I kind of missed.
I honestly hadn't caught it until just now. Yeah. Because Detroit figures in pretty heavily. Yeah, that's clever. I would normally say, I don't know if that was intentional, but Shane Black.
Yeah, Shane Black. It was intentional.
Wrote this so tightly that had to have been.
Most of the plot holes, if any, in this movie can be excused with, it's the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
It's oh, why does nobody care that this kid is in all these dangerous / very adult situations? It's it's the 70s.
Yeah. My dad's told me stories about growing up that I'm not sure he would appreciate me saying here. But
right, exactly.
Yeah. Nothing to that extent. Nothing where he was like, oh, yeah, I just would walk down the street and go into an adult film industry party.
Yeah.
And
watch my dad's weird friend get the crap beat out of him by Keith David.
Yeah. Almost get kidnapped because I dropped the wrong name. It was the 70s. It was a different time. But no, he's got stories about looser firework laws. Stuff like that.
I think everybody's dad has those, yeah.
Yeah. I know my uncle has a scar from an incident where they were playing in the backyard. Stuff that you'd never think of letting kids have access to now. But yeah, the 70s, man. It was just a different time.
Yeah. I think most of my dad's shocking 70s stories were about looser expectations on how teachers behaved with students.
Yeah, Dad's got some of those.
Some hilarious incidents, one of which involves a English teacher throwing his math book out the window because he was studying math in English class.
Right. I never met your dad, but I found a lot of the stories you've told me about him being punished in school entirely likely.
Right. I think one of my uncles had their sleeve stapled to a desk. They can confirm that. They listened.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of the way the time marches on. I got stories from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I have 90s and early 2000s stories that would baffle Gen Z kids.
Right.
You guys ate ketchup that was green? Yeah, we have no idea how they made it green, besides tons and tons of food dye.
Yep.
There's probably parts of my stomach lining that are still green from eating that stuff.
Oh, yeah. There are also the Cheetos that would turn your mouth green.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's also Orbits, the soda that had little
bubbles. Yeah.
Little balls.
Microplastics. Yeah.
Like, you drank soda that had microplastics in it? It's like, yeah, that was part of the selling point.
And it was delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I ever had Orbits. I did have Pepsi Blue.
I had Pepsi Blue. I had Orbits once.
Yeah.
Just showing kids, like, commercials from back then. You're like, this made you want it? Mm-hmm. No, this made me need it.
Yeah.
All right? The commercial of, I think it was Gushers, where the kids' heads turned into big fruit.
Yes!
This was a selling point? Yeah, I needed that stuff.
How about the Capri Sun ads where the kids drank Capri Sun and then turned into Silver Surfer type things?
Yeah, that was cool. It looked like Alex Mack when she turned into the liquid from The Secret Life of Alex Mack. What wasn't cool about that?
True.
Kids these days not wanting to be the Silver Surfer.
I know. Shame.
But anyways,
we 70s. Just turned into old men yelling at clouds. For a second there.
Little bit.
But anyway, the 70s.
The 70s, yeah. It was a different time.
It was.
And at that same party, they find out that Holly has hidden in the trunk.
Yes.
So that she can be part of it. And Ryan Gosling opens the trunk, sees her in there, and then closes the trunk again. And no one goes, did you just close a girl in the trunk? The chauffeur goes, I can't take that knowing there's someone in the trunk.
Yeah.
But it's not, you gotta let her out.
I can't be responsible for this.
I can't take that. You either have to let her out or take her home. Also, at one point, one of the villains just gets hit by a van, and the van just drives away, and everyone goes, well, there's that, I guess.
Oh, well.
Also, that party at the end, the automotive industry party, does not clear out as quickly as you would think.
For explosions and gunfire. And
I mean, it starts clearing out. People don't want to get involved, but you know there were some people who are on something. They're just like, wow, this is a crazy trip, man.
This is wild.
There's enough people running around that it's an issue.
Yeah. Just solid movie from beginning to end.
It is.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, I'm glad I could introduce it to you. I'm glad that I can introduce it to all the people out there. If you haven't seen this, it's not hard to find. Like I said, it didn't do well. I don't know how often it's on TV, but it's easy to find on DVD, on Blu-ray, on streaming. I'm sure I own it, so I didn't have to look and see if it's on any streaming service.
But this is something we don't talk about. I actually put in the show notes. If you're on your podcast app, just kind of scroll down, you can see the show notes. If you're on YouTube, open up the little doobly-doo. I'm pointing down like I'm on...
The doobly-doo.
Yeah, I include links to everywhere you can find this on popular streaming sites. Nice. All legal. I don't go digging for the not-so-legal ones.
Well, we could keep talking in circles. I almost just said again about how it baffled me that this didn't do better, and I've said that several times already, so... We'll go ahead and get out of here and give you guys plenty of time to go find this movie and stop skipping it.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Tink.
We'll allow it. Want to talk about socials?
Yes. We're on socials.
We are.
You can find us on Facebook. Search the words "You Skip That?" ?
For a second, I thought you were just going to leave it at, yeah, we're on them.
Yeah, we're there. We're there. We're social. It's cool. On TikTok, for however much longer that lasts.
Yeah.
Instagram and Threads. We're just You Skipped That. All one word. Search at You Skipped That.
You'll find us. Posting different stuff on each of them.
Yep. I haven't posted on TikTok in a while, but who knows?
If it survives the month of January, we'll get back on that.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. We've recorded this in advance by just a little bit, and it's possible that by the time this airs...
There may not be TikTok anymore.
Or it's completely changed, and people are going, why are you talking about that?
Right. Yeah.
It's been saved.
Maybe Facebook bought it, or Canada.
Canada. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another movie. This time it'll be Alex's choice.
It will be.
And I look forward to that, hopefully.
It'll be fun. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a good one. It's a fun one.
Yeah, we're allowed that.
Yeah.
Before we get out, gonna buy it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a full price or a discount price?
It is a full price if I don't see it on sale within the next month.
There you go. Thorough recommendation from the both of us.
If it was a 5-star rating system, I'd probably give it a solid 4.
Yeah, there you go. Now you have that information at your disposal. Until next time, I'm Dan Clark.
And I'm Alex Grace.
And this has been You Skip That.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.